Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya Allah, let my story speak volumes. Let it speak to those who feel they're not being heard. Be my guide in all that I say, and anything that is diluted and corrupted is from me, and anything righteous and good is from you. Keep us steadfast in this deen. Ameen. Peace and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the Muslims. This is your girl Khalifa Adana, and welcome to episode 2 of Halal and Heard. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about Black consciousness and what that truly entails. Because a lot of the time, our people really don't understand or truly absorb the meaning of being revolutionary. When I started my revolutionary journey, it started off very slow. It started off me meeting this organization called the Black Riders Liberation Party back in 2011. And during that year, I had just graduated out of a homeless shelter into a transitional housing program for people who was in foster care when they were younger. This organization was called First Place for Youth. I grew the ranks in this program pretty quickly because I was really determined to be an advocate and a voice for the youth that was in that program, to make sure that the youth advocates and the people who are a part of the program really had a connection between what the problem was or the issue and with how to solve it and a solution. And at this time, I guess you can say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was nurturing my leadership skills and my advocacy skills as far as speaking for those who didn't feel like they had a voice. It nurtured my want and need to help people and to see me be an active role in making sure somebody has a voice that's being heard, or if they had supplies that they needed, that these requests were being heard by the youth advocates in a timely fashion. Now, being in Oakland nurtured my revolutionary spirit that I had deep within me. I've always wanted to be a voice of the voiceless. I wanted to act on injustices, and I truly seen myself blossoming into this individual when I met this organization, the Black Riders Liberation Party. In around the time that I did meet them, I had become the vice president of the youth advocacy program at the organization First Place for Youth. And when I did see this organization come in, they had asked if they could make copies of their flyers that they were trying to pass out for a educational revolutionary class that they were hosting. And I really, found them astonishing because they were dressed in black. They were all black, and it just intrigued my interest. I was truly like an oblivious fish in the ocean, and they sent out their hook and they caught me. I took the bait, and I don't regret it whatsoever. Period, point blank. That organization nurtured my people skills, gave me the ability or taught me the ability to make sure I was able to converse with the people in a way that they can understand and not some hyper militaristic propaganda campaign to try to spew a whole bunch of big words at the people. It was getting the people to understand the need for revolution, the need for support amongst ourselves, a general revolutionary thought process as a group. Because of the counterintelligence program attempt and success to wipe out any revolutionary mindset and fervor to make sure that no revolutionary leader could stand up and show us what truly meant to be done, that could reach the multifaceted intersectional mind process that Black people have today. We need to make sure that we as a people understand that being a part of a revolutionary organization is not a must, but it can bring collectivity and a sense of community. And we women, we Black women, we Black Muslim women, we were told by Malcolm X that we are twice doomed: the fact that we are Black and the fact that we are women. But I'd like to challenge that and say that we are thrice doomed because we are Black, women, and we are Muslim. And we have that advantage to us, the fact that we have a blueprint in front of us when it comes to our religion. The Quran speaks explicitly in multiple places in speaking out against oppression and dealing with injustice. Now, when it comes to being black, the main thing that we as black people have to deal with is the systemic racism that we have today in this society. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing taught us that in all 9 areas of human relations, and that is economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, we as black women are encompassed, intertwined, and woven into all 9. We as black women, we could fund the revolution and see it through successfully. As far as the economics go, if we pull all our economics into the revolution in the areas that we spend most, we know which areas we spend the most money in, black women. We spend the most in hair care and cosmetics. When it comes to hair care, we spend over $3.2 billion annually, and it goes to other communities to build them up and keep us depleted. We only shop outside of the black community because we do still have that thought process and mindset of the white man's ice is colder. By spending with other communities who do not have our best interest at heart, they do not see the need for us to withhold and pull our economics to make sure that the revolution stays sustained. In education, we prefer someone else teach our children. We prefer to send them to a constitution who has never had our best interest at heart and is trying to whitewash all our achievements and our contributions to this country. And we also flood the entertainment category with our black men and boys when it comes to entertainment for the oppressor. We all know that black men and women make the most for a lot of these sports organizations and are treated like less than human. If we taught our boys to be great in all areas other than sports or entertainment, such as rap music, we would be able to gain a momentum that would keep us sustained and making sure that revolutionary spirit is inherited and applied. It's not the fact that we don't apply them, because we do, this generation, we do have some type of thought process and an inclination on wanting to change what we were taught, trying to break some of these generational curses that have been placed on us and embedded in our DNA, where men can't be men anymore without high criticism, and women can't be feminine without being labeled as a pick me. We need to stand firm in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. He has given us rights over each other to make sure we all stay balanced and can hold each other accountable when it comes to what we do and what we don't do. Which brings me to my next topic. Once I graduated from the thought process of militant and active duty in the Black Revolution, a shift happened. And that shift was motherhood. Now, motherhood is something completely different in and of itself. Okay, let me tell you. Now, there's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you that your mother is after him 3 times before your father. Not taking anything from the father, because there is a lot of complaints and disgruntled comments from the brothers out there in the world, and you know it's true. And you do know it's true. And I understand their pain because fathers aren't looked at in the same light as mothers. And Allah makes this clear. And if you do all of this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will put ease and sabr in your heart. He wants this to be easy for us. He wants us to be able to use these rights that we have over each other to make these things easier for each other when it comes to motherhood and fatherhood. But there is a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts us 3 times after him. It is because when a woman is going through childbirth, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. When a child is nursing a mother, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. There is a reason why men don't go through menstrual cycles like women. There is a reason behind us being the first teachers of the children as soon as they come out the womb. This is not all to put the father in a situation where he feels like he's unneeded or unwanted, but it must be completely and objectively looked at by our brothers and our sisters, because I'm not going to take some of our part that it plays in because of our stance as far as our comments in the Black Woman Secret Society, because that's what I dub it. In the Black Woman Secret Society, we like to hold a lot of resentment towards our brothers. And a lot of brothers really don't know where this comes from because you'll be trying, you know what I'm saying? You'll try to get your stuff together for the sake of your family with no God foresight or guidance, even just in the basic Black community, on the basic level, just trying to make it by, not wanting to participate in the religions and the practices of Christianity that was taught by our ancestors. Now, when it comes to knowing God and understanding that there is a God, a lot of our community has that down packed. It's embedded in our DNA, period, point blank. Like they say, when it comes to any religion, Black people outdo them, everybody, spiritually. We try to get the closest to God because of what we've been through. And because of what we've been through here in this dunya, between the women and the men in the Black community, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts our rights that we have over each other at the top of the list when it comes to marriage. That's why it's highly discouraged to date and highly encouraged to marry. Because we even marrying someone in Islam, it completes half of your deen. And do you know what that means? Upon Allah, do you know what that means? By finding a spouse and letting that foundation be created, it helps remove a lot of the bad taboo and the disliking between the brothers and the sisters in our community. It really stops all that. It put us an extreme hope on it. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want to make that a problem for us as far as loving one another and being able to come together and work as a unit. Because when we do, that stops any gender war from happening so we can concentrate on stuff that should be concentrated on. Like making sure that we create the schools that we need to educate our children properly so we don't have to worry about having to send our children to the enemy to be taught propaganda against our own, to make sure that us Black Muslim women create an environment in the household to bring peace to the husband and nurturing to the children. And I don't want to sound cliche, but as far as being the backbone, it's more like we are the rib. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's already told us what being that rib really means and what that specific job entails. It means that we are not beneath him, we are not above him, but we are right by his side, making sure that we show a united front. Because we must remember, we are in a war. And teaching the next generation that is to come, that's going to carry the torch, to make sure we just don't inherit it and let it fall by the wayside. It must be inherited and added to. So if one of the sisters who happen to be in a revolutionary organization or a religious organization, understanding when we need our time and space to nurture and embed these new freedom fighters with the tools that they need to continue the struggle. So motherhood is a revolutionary act in itself because it lays the foundation to the children who are going to come after us. We must learn from the past. We do not want history to repeat itself because it is obvious that the past elders and the past revolutionaries fell short because of COINTELPRO. It's not like we are not in a fight that is not being counteracted. It's not like you can see it because it's all covert. Covert racism is detrimental to our people because it makes it seem like racism is gone. But a lot of us do still know that it's here and prevalent. It's all up in our faces. There is no sugarcoating it. There is no trying to lead the horse to the water and forcing it to drink. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He guide whom he will, and he lets those who are led astray be led astray. When it comes to those who are agent provocateurs and slows down this revolutionary continuance, we must be able to point them out and hold them accountable for their actions. Because if we continue the struggle and we have these agent provocateurs placed in the midst and they're not dealt with, then we're going to have the era of dissension, which is truly upon us right now. I mean, we all are trying to get on the group thought and the collective thought of liberation, but a lot of black people want it. They don't know how to get it. And then there's those who don't care about freedom. And Malcolm X taught us, subhanAllah, he taught us that the irony of being pro black is that if you're not careful understanding the ignorance of your own kind, you will end up hating your own kind. No cap. Because some of our people, whew, we have to practice sabr, my people. Ummati, we need to practice sabr. Because some of our people, whew, Allah is going to lead astray. And ain't nobody going to be able to help them. And it's going to be hard to have to let these people go. Because sometimes they can be your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your children, your spouse, or dear close friends. We have to be able to lean on Allah and ask Him, Ya Allah, please bless me with the ability of discernment and be able to endure your decree. Because sometimes what He sends down, it will shake the earth, especially in a world that's chaotic. You know what I mean? It's going to be hard. Like it was hard for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to preach Islam in the Quraysh. So Allah told him to get on and find people that is going to embrace you and embrace Islam and help you grow. These are stories that we can use for ourselves as inspiration because if we might have to cut some family members off because they don't see it how we see it, just like Kendrick said, astaghfirullah. But I'm black, so I know y'all can relate. Like Kendrick said, man, I cut my granny off if she don't see it how I see it. Alhamdulillah, it's upon Allah, astaghfirullah. If that's how it's gotta be, then so be it. And some of the elders from the OG organizations that had paved the road for us to walk on. A lot of them let the torch fall short because they were gatekeeping. Yeah, I gotta call it out. Some of the OGs was gatekeeping. They didn't want to hand down the revolutionary facts that they had down to us. So with this new generation of revolutionary freedom fighters that we're bringing up, we need to let them know that what we teach them, pass it on to the ones that come after them and let it be known that there's not only one specific category that needs to be overcompensated and others be neglected. The need for different ways to contribute to the revolution and the struggle, they need to be highlighted because active duty is not just the only one. Of course, I would have to say it's the most important. For the sake of Allah, it's the most important. But also understanding that writing essays and other means of propaganda adds to it. Feeding those less fortunate adds to it. Clothing those who are less fortunate add to it. And then when it comes to education, until we can replace the educational system that is in place with our own, we should be able to find our nearest community centers and hold weekly little programs that educates the community and brings more knowledge to our fingertips because knowledge holds immense importance in Islam as it is considered a foundation and a fundamental aspect of faith and a pathway of spiritual and worldly success. And doing something about our situation here in America, it's not something easily done. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already told us He tests the ones He loves most. And because we've turned our grief and our anger with the past into a sword of apathy, we are in a very, very immensely concerning position. And a lot of these things have to be approached. dealt with, and concluded. It should not linger and it should not be swept under the rug. It should get dealt with so we can use this as a successful step forward to be able to lay these foundational stones. Because oppression doesn't just mean physical harm, it also encompasses spiritual, emotional, social, and systemic. And the Quran reminds us that standing up against oppression is a part of worship. And we, as Black Muslim women, many of us, we push back against silencing, invisibility, and harm because the Quran makes a clear stance on oppression, experiencing it or witnessing it. In Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, ayah 75, it clearly states, "And what is the matter with you that you do not fight in the name of the cause of Allah for the oppressed men, women, and children who say, Ya Rab, take us out of this city of oppressive people." This verse shows us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees it all and He commands us to act and making sure we do act. And knowing when we do, it is a form of worship, especially when it's done for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And before we go, I would love to leave you with the dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. O Allah, strengthen our hearts in the face of oppression. Make us among those who stand up for justice with courage and compassion. Grant us freedom and protection from all our oppressors and make us vessels